In the summer of 2020, California was ablaze with fire after fire, each seemingly more staggering in its devastation than the last. Over 4 million acres burned, and thick smoke hung heavy for months. In the San Francisco Bay Area, which is notoriously chilly and blanketed in fog from June through August, temperatures surged past record highs and lingered in the triple digits for days at a time. I have a particularly poignant memory of running errands in San Francisco on a Sunday in September. After hiding out in my apartment from the surging pandemic and smoke for weeks, in an attempt not to inflame my chronic asthma, I found that the city's parks were packed with thousands of people seeking relief from the suffocating heat in their homes. I looked down at my car's dashboard, and the temperature read 103 degrees Fahrenheit. I glanced at the purple Air app on my phone, which I'd come to check dozens of times each day, and the air quality index hovered near 300, considered to be very unhealthy for the general population. As my own lungs burned, I recalled reading that breathing in air with an AQI of 300 for a day was roughly the equivalent to smoking 14 cigarettes. Certainly seeing the residents of San Francisco gathered under trees and near the water on this sweltering day should not have been a surprise. After all, the majority of San Francisco's housing lacks air conditioning, having been built for the city's typically moderate coastal climate. Meanwhile, many of the cool refuges that folks typically seek out during extreme weather, like libraries and museums, were closed to prevent the spread of COVID-19. Even those with air conditioning in their homes were out of luck. The region's investor-owned power supplier, Pacific Gas and Electric, was implementing sporadic power shutoffs to minimize the possibility of electric lines sparking fire amid the extreme conditions, and therefore mitigating their own potential liability. And still, it was a poignant visualization of the impossible choice that San Franciscans were faced with: to endure the smoke outside, risk heat exhaustion at home, or seek relief somewhere air-conditioned indoors and potentially be exposed to COVID-19. Notably for many of the region's residents who were unhoused or incarcerated or conducting work deemed essential, there was no choice to be made between heat, smoke, and virus. It was a stark reminder of what it can look like when climate-related weather events compound upon one another and cruelly collide with the crises that don't burn as bright, but are constantly simmering, like woefully inadequate energy and community infrastructure, housing, and healthcare. This project was born during a fiery summer, a pandemic, racial uprisings, and myriad other ongoing calamities. In a moment when it felt positively palpable that we do not have time to focus on a single issue at a time, but must build community resilience at the intersection of climate change mitigation, adaptation, and justice all at once, I sought the wisdom of leaders around the so-called United States, who have always known this to be true, and have been doing this work in a deeply holistic, intersectional, and intentional way for years, oftentimes carrying the torch of generations before them. I began with these questions. What might climate solutions look like that simultaneously strive for radical reduction in greenhouse gas emissions, adaptation to changing conditions, and justice for those most impacted by climate change and structural oppression? Amid a sea of siloed and shallow so-called climate solutions focused on scale, speed, and investor return, which solutions are most rooted in relationship, compassion, humility, trust, and long-term thinking? What does meaningful climate action and collective care look like from folks who have been here before, who have devised loving and innovative ways to meet the needs of their community members in times of crisis and shortage and oppression? This book emerged from those conversations.